We got one screen up there. That's so cool. Is there only supposed to be one screen now?
A little technical issue, but yeah, one screen.
Okay. Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call the Public Safety Committee meeting to order for February 16th, 2023. A copy of the agenda for this meeting can be found on the county website. Please silence your phones and electronic devices. At this time, we'll ask you to please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Will you roll call, please?
DeGanga. Here. Eller.
Here.
Sutherland. Here. Piera. Massey.
Here.
Ramos. Time.
Here. Okay, first up, we have District Attorney Hoovler. Number one, request to accept and appropriate funds for fiscal year 2023 for the Criminal Justice Discovery Reform Grant from the Department of Criminal Justice Services for the County District Attorney, $1,702,199. It's legislative request number 20. A motion, please. Second. Beginning again. Welcome.
Hey, Kevin, how are you?
Wonderful. Yourself?
Well,
All right, the floor is yours.
the positions, you guys already made the positions. And the money has been here, I believe, since January 15th. And it's unique. This is very unique because there are no quarterly reports, there are no grant reporting. Basically, the money is to be distributed according to the plan, or even the plan itself can be altered down the road. And if the money isn't spent at the end of the year, it's supposed to be either embargoed or encumbered for expenditure in later years for discovery reform. So we just need you guys to say yes.
Okay, you had me at hello. Does anybody have any questions?
He's like, what you saying?
We anticipate, again, this is just part of what the governor's doing to offset the millions that you accepted for indigent legal defense and everything down the road. Ultimately, the state of New York, and again, we're expecting more next year and we're expecting more coming in this year's budget. Ultimately, when the state, the money's going to stop somewhere and the county has to pick these up just the way you did with everything else. The question is when that happens. I don't know.
Okay, anybody have any questions? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So carried unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we have number two, Commissioner Casey. Letter A, request to accept and appropriate hazardous mitigation grant program funds from project number 4567-0018 from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security Federal Emergency Management Agency in the amount of $190,000 for mitigation planning, drafting of county multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan, and submission of such plan to the FEMA Regional Administrator for approval. The required local match of $20,000 will be covered by contingency funds. Legislative request number 32. Motion.
Second.
Sexy. Welcome. You want to highlight that for us?
Yeah, this is Don Green's operation. He goes out and meets with municipalities. They develop hazard mitigation plans on what they'd like to do for their particular town or village. This is really just a plan. You have to have a plan. If you don't have a plan, you can't submit for reimbursement to FEMA. So part of this money will be for a consultant, and a lot of it just goes out to putting that plan together.
Okay. And that 20,000 is in your budget or in our contingency budget?
Contingency.
What's that?
Contingency.
Okay. Any questions? Anybody? Okay, hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Anyone opposed? So carried unanimous. Letter B, request to accept and appropriate fiscal year 2021-2022 hazardous materials emergency preparedness grant for the period 9/1/22 to 9/29/23. A local match of $3,947.25 will be covered by existing operating budget, $15,789. Legislative request number 33. So motion, please.
Sounds good.
This is a hazmat grant. Vinny will highlight what he plans on doing with it.
Yeah, so this grant we previously would get every year. It used to be about $3,500 or so. They started as of this year doing this as a regional grant between regional partners. We have a 4-county regional partnership with Rockland County, Ulster County, and Sullivan. So essentially, they put it all together, and then we as a group spend it. So what we're doing with this is we're utilizing it for training. The scope of it is very narrow. You can't use it for equipment. You can only use it for education purposes mostly. So we have some guest speakers coming in, subject matter experts on topics like lithium ion battery fires, which is a hot topic these days, and a few other things. So that's pretty much what we're using it for. The match, typically we use salary funds and personnel time that from our division for training, for the training. So I don't think it actually costs the county anything.
We'd like to hear that. Anybody have any questions on this? All right, hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So carried unanimous. Letter C, request supplemental appropriation to the capital projects budget for the replacement of fire investigation response truck and the purchase of water rescue boats and related equipment for the technical rescue team. This is proposed capital project number 66 in the 2023 capital plan. Upon approval, a new capital project will be created, $230,000 from bonding, and it's legislative request number 37. Motion? Sutherland.
This is a capital project we've been speaking about for the last year or so. Fire investigation vehicle currently is an old minibus. It's over 20 years old. Needs to be replaced, and the added capability of tech rescue to get out onto the water is something we've been talking about for a while. We just had an attempted water rescue down in Woodbury. They believe the kid went through the ice, turned out to be false alarm, but it's something that we see as a need, and Vinny can highlight a little bit more.
Yeah, so the vehicle itself, the fire investigation vehicle, what we're trying to do is use more our apparatus for more assured purposes. So this vehicle will have the capability for the fire investigation team, but also to tow for our technical rescue team, hazmat team, or these water rescue units, and also to carry equipment to other scenes. So basically, it'll be pretty versatile. And as Commissioner stated, water rescue in the county, it's just increasing in terms of call volume. However, the teams that we have in the county that are providing these services are dwindling due to unable to get personnel and the training mandates. So it just truly makes sense to put it under the county, not to replace any teams out there, but to augment what they're doing. And this will be our, the funding that we need to start it. I will say, all the grants that we get on the fire services side do not allow us to use the funds for water rescue equipment. It's something that we've been bringing up, the Coordinators Association I'm part of, we bring up to the state all the time, is that, the technical rescue grants, they focus on trench, collapse, and rope, which is necessary disciplines that we need the resources for. But water rescue is a pretty common occurrence throughout the state. But unfortunately, the grant funding is not available for us to use for that. So that's why we're bringing it in the capital project too.
How many boats are you getting?
There's 2 boats. It's what's called a USAR kit, which is a urban search and rescue unit. They're basically a trailer that holds 2 boats so that we can transport it throughout the county.
It's like a Zodiac and a flat bottom. They're not, we have the Hudson River, which requires a whole different boat, and we have the Delaware, which requires the rapid, the airboats out there. But we do have a lot of bodies of water throughout the county that you need to get into that Zodiacs and flat bottom boats are what's required.
Where are you gonna keep that?
Training center.
Yeah?
You said you were gonna use this for multiple, different response teams. So it's capable of holding all the equipment for those response teams?
Yeah, we'll keep it, mainly, we'll have equipment that we can put on it quickly and move that. The fire investigation equipment will stay on it. There'll be a compartmentalized area in the rear that we'll put, and it'll be similar to like a sprinter van type concept. And then the area inside it, we can use to transport people, which is important as well. A lot of our apparatus only has 2 seats, so this will allow us to carry the people, but we'll have area to put equipment
Okay,
that we
great.
can put quickly.
Anybody else? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Anyone opposed? So carried unanimous. Letter D, request supplemental appropriation, restore line of 25 unexpended revenues that were rolled into the general fund at the end of 2022. Legislative request number 39.
So moved.
Second.
This is something we do every year. It's whatever reason the budget, we have to come and roll money over. It's a little over 13,000, I think it is. Money collected from fines, people that go through the Alive at 25 program. We push it back out to the schools for educational program. So it's a fluid account.
Now, that was always administered by Mr. Cherry. Is that public information, the replacement yet, or no?
I believe so. It's, he's slated to start Tuesday as walkouts today. I'll certainly bring him around. I guess I can make the announcement. It's going to be former Chief Robert Doss from Town of New Windsor Police Department, has retired from the Windsor, and he'll come over as Deputy Commissioner for Police Services. So he starts next week.
All right. Anybody have any questions on this? We do this every year. All right, hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So carried unanimous. Thank you. Okay, next up, we have Sheriff Arteta. Letter A, request to create a second undersheriff position, management grade 27, and eliminate the assistant undersheriff position following approval from New York State. It would be a title change from the current assistant undersheriff, position number 021758, to the title of undersheriff. This is legislative request number 18. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Gagnon? Ms. Sassy? Okay, welcome.
Thank you.
How do you guys?
Well,
You want to highlight your plan for us, Sheriff?
so we, about the assistant undersheriff, to undersheriff.
Yeah.
So we modeled our decision to make the assistant undersheriff and undersheriff after Rockland County. Nassau and Suffolk County also have 2 undersheriffs. I have Evelyn Mallard and Will Garcia. Both of them had extensive state police experience. Evelyn's 30 years. Will has about 27, 28 years in state police. She retired as a major. So they're both police officers. My intent is to have 2 undersheriffs. One oversees the jail, while the other oversees the road patrol. And they could be interchangeable, similar to Rockland County. And it provides the oversight over the personnel, the discipline, the technologies, accreditations for both the jail and the road patrol. We're similar to Rockland, not population in the county, but population as far as employees in the sheriff's office. We have about 474 and Rockland has about 460. Giving them equal power will give a direct line for the chain of command so that they can go to an undersheriff. Instead of going to an assistant undersheriff, the assistant undersheriff has to go to the undersheriff, then the undersheriff goes to the sheriff. So we meet every day, talk every day, and we go over everything that's going on the correctional side, everything that's going on the road patrol side. So right now, we have that set up, and that's the way we've been operating since day one.
Okay. This might be a question for Langdon, I don't know, but under the contract, I think there's a pecking order of the salaries. In other words, the chief makes more than the captain, the undersheriff makes more than the chief, things like that. What effect does this have?
This would eliminate the assistant undersheriff's position and make the undersheriffs equal. So it would take out the assistant undersheriff's salary, which would be a percentage over the chief and colonel. So it would go from the chief and colonel to the undersheriff.
But does that have any effect on the current agreement, Langdon? Can you expand on that?
We don't have a current contract with Scylla right now, so we're actually negotiating that. That's the last one to be done. So we're gonna have to address that, but I don't see it as having an effect because you've already got a provision for an undersheriff in there. So it's just a function of you're gonna have 2 people making that same salary as opposed to one person making the undersheriff and one person making the assistant undersheriff.
So there's no step from deputy undersheriff to undersheriff with respect to salary increase?
The assistant undersheriff to the undersheriff is a 3% difference. And then the assistant undersheriff to the chief and colonel, 3% difference.
Right. My concern is we lose a step there, so how does that affect the higher level? In other words, if, for purposes of right now, before we vote, assuming equal longevity, the undersheriff would make more than the deputy undersheriff. And the deputy undersheriff would be paid based on the chief's salary, correct?
Right now, I think your point is the assistant undersheriff makes less than the undersheriff. And as I understand what would happen after is they would both make the same salary as that of the undersheriff. The step for the assistant undersheriff, and I respectfully differ on the word step, but, you know, would just go away.
Yeah. But my point is in the agreement, as I recall it, you're eliminating a position. So if it went chief got X amount of dollars, deputy undersheriff got 3% more, and the undersheriff got 3% more than that person, that means now that it would have to be written that the undersheriff gets 6% more than the chief.
Yes.
That's my point.
Yeah. But as we redo so, we're gonna have to
Right,
address.
so you're just gonna have to fix that in
Then
the
that'll be
contract, I
clear.
guess is what it would come down to. So I'm happy with this proposal. I was able to talk to the sheriff the other day. I didn't even know that you were with the state police. I thought you were Ulster County Corrections forever.
No.
Because we never saw a resume, so I only found that out the other day. And one of my biggest questions was, are you allowed to be an undersheriff without being a police officer? So you are a certified police officer.
Yes, I am.
And I know you are as well. So there's no issue there. The next issue, and I talked to the sheriff about this already, Langdon, this is another one for you. If the sheriff were to get hit by a bus tomorrow, he has to do a succession plan, right? I'm just, again, in the past, like,
Why's it gotta be a bus?
well, Fredo doesn't have a number on his collar right now, but I think you're number 2, right?
That's why I don't have a number, so that's
Right, and I see that the deputy undersheriff is number 3. So do we have to have a succession plan written?
So the
If we
sheriff,
have 2 equal people right below the sheriff?
the sheriff should designate a by name and title, no question.
And that should be on file with your office?
It gets on file with the county clerk's office, and I think with legislature as well.
Okay.
But the sheriff gets it.
So right now, it's obvious, tomorrow, or after the legislative meeting, it will no longer be obvious until you put it in writing. And that's up to the sheriff to lay that out, right?
That's his call.
It's like writing my will.
Listen, we have to prepare for everything, okay? So now,
Thanks, guys.
also, is there any job description change? Because currently, well, I can't say currently, but in the past administration, the jail was run by the jail administrator, I assume, and probably the undersheriff. I'm not really sure on that one.
Well, I think we're gonna structure the job description for the undersheriff, this newly created position aimed at the jail aspect of it.
Okay. And will that person always have to be a police officer or no?
Yes,
Because it might.
Your
It's
opinion. I know it fits currently, but we have to plan for.
So other counties are having trouble because they promoted somebody to undersheriff who came directly out of their correctional facility. They don't qualify as an undersheriff unless they're a police officer in New York State. So they're having difficulties upstate. We won't have that problem.
I'll take a break. Anybody else want to ask some questions?
That was enough.
Ask my
I'm
question.
still stuck on the bus.
I'm not knocking you off. I guess we have to have a plan. Obviously, if it's not written anywhere, it has to be written now.
Sure.
Before Thursday, it would be obvious. Number 2 is next, and number 3, which I guess if it gets to 0-2 on this uniform, we'll come to it.
Let's look at the
We're
uniform.
holding on. We still haven't received our uniforms. These are borrowed. They just look
I
like.
was gonna say, how did you name? Okay, no more questions on this? Anybody else? All right, we'll call the question then. All in favor, say aye. Anyone opposed? So carried unanimous. Now you gotta get past the personnel committee and the full legislature. All right, letter B, request to create one fiscal director of management grade 25, legislative request number 19. Have a motion, please. Gannigan and Ellers? Okay, you want to highlight that for us, please?
So we have many, many grants, many contracts between the correctional side and the road division side. Currently, I have a full-time captain in our correctional facility and a full-time sergeant on the road patrol side handling this stuff rather than doing the jobs that they're designated for. So this fiscal director would oversee all of the grants, all of the contracts, and our budget as well. And provide, what we really need is a civilian to oversee all of the contracts and the grants. And then we could put our captain back to work in our correctional facility and our sergeant back to work on our road patrol.
Langley, was this the position that the prior administration had talked about and you said that you thought could happen pretty quick, or am I mistaken?
That's a different position. We're doing a desk audit of another position over in the sheriff's office. But this is the position that I believe during budget discussions, we talked about the need to have a higher level fiscal person really managing their financial operations.
Now, is there somebody there now that's going to move, or is that a competitive test? Is it for?
It eventually will be competitive. I mean, you gotta create it and then it'll be competitive. So, but that's, when's the test gonna happen?
Okay. Anybody questions?
One quick question.
Go ahead.
Do you anticipate any other labor needed for this position? Secretarial?
Somebody to assist with the position? No,
No, we have people.
So you have somebody there, somebody's doing it now, the captain's doing it now.
yes,
So this person will fill that role. There's already people in place that are assisting.
yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So carried unanimous. Letter C, request supplemental appropriation to the capital projects budget for renovation of the sheriff's K-9 facility. This project has been approved under the 2023 capital plan as project number 123. Upon approval, a new capital plan will be created, $389,000 from bonding. Legislative request number 25. Motion, please. You want to highlight this for us?
The K-9 facility, we've had longstanding problems with the infrastructure of the building. And the floor is actually rotting out. So we need to appropriate some funds to fix the floor to start making it safer, not only for the human beings that walk in there, but for the canines that are in there as well.
This is the building at the airport we're talking about?
Yes,
Is that your plan, or would you like to see us not do that and do something different?
I would love to build a state-of-the-art facility with a training component for not only the canines, but for our members, because we have such a big, robust employee base that needs to be trained on a constant basis. But that's not going to happen overnight, so we have to Band-Aid the floor so as not to have any injuries coming from either the canines or the canine handlers or any of the visitors that go there. When we have canine graduations, or sometimes the families go as well, I can't risk having them fall through the floor.
Glenn?
Have we discovered who owns this building yet? Before we put $400,000 into it again?
What I have found out is the land is owned by the airport. The building, at some point before my time, was built by the sheriff. So the structure itself is the sheriff's, and the land underneath it is the airport's. So we rent the land.
Yeah, there was an argument in the last year, who was going to fix it? Nobody
right.
fixed it.
Who owns
because
it? Yeah.
DPW didn't want to pay to their budget, and the sheriff didn't want to pay to his budget, I recall.
Well, the construction is the problem, the way it was built, because it's built right on the ground, so the moisture just come right up to the floor and just rotting everything. They're gonna have a heater pretty soon, just rot through the floor. It's gonna cause you other problems.
There's some issues with the FAA, and I think eventually they're gonna want to push us off of there anyway, because the runway goes right to that. And some of the flights that we saw over the last year are pretty big flights that were using the entire runway. I think one oops, and we're gonna lose that K-9 facility.
Sheriff Baker put that in 30 years ago.
Kathy?
Well, what is the size of the building that's over there currently? Do we have like a rough estimate?
Like 1,800, 2,000 square feet, something like that.
So it's what, 45, 60?
Yeah, something like that.
I'm just looking at the cost associated with if we're looking for something different, that seems like an awful lot of money to be able to just fix it if we're gonna be planning to move it. You know, and if it's just a flooring that we're talking about, the pros don't really outweigh the cons on that when we're talking for a budget. So is there any other possibility for moving it someplace else or to do, you know, even building a brand new pole barn style that would not have this? Because if you're just gonna be putting another floor on top of a bad floor and it's on the direct ground, you're still gonna have the moisture, you're still gonna have that, and we're gonna be right back in the same spot. So if there's a better way for us to kind of plan this where it can be, you know, utilized someplace else that maybe you guys own the land or even up by the sheriff's. So that, because that was a big discussion at that one meeting that we had as far as who owned it, who didn't, whether you guys had a long-term contract or you don't, the leasing and all that. So, you know, if there's another avenue that can go with this, and this isn't like an immediate, has to be done right this second, if this could maybe come back next month, and we could look into if there's any other options that you could use that 389 and actually build something that would be, you know, even a starting point that you could get your, eventually your whole thing by building onto that. I would like to see that happen.
We located a space on our property in front of the sheriff's office where we could probably use it. It has some foundations that are there, but we'd have to look it over, make sure that it's feasible. I mean, unless we're in private industry, I don't see us building anything in the next year. And the floor is deteriorated. I mean, literally, people are going through the floor with their heels and their shoes.
So if this is built on dirt, is what you're telling me, can't we just rip out what's there and pour concrete and have a concrete floor in the interim?
And I'm spending all of that money.
Instead of spending
Maybe more.
$389,000, I'm saying, as a temporary fix. I don't know what you spec'd out for the 389, because I don't really know the size.
I think that we're gonna try and just Band-Aid it and move forward with another plan for the K-9 facility. I don't think that we're going to spend that much, but this was from the previous administration.
That's,
The amount,
yeah.
Yeah, and
And that's probably to make a permanent fix, though, is my guess. But if
It
there's
might
no
have been, but we're not
floor
gonna
there-
make a permanent fix.
So did physical services meet yet? They didn't, right?
They meet on Tuesday.
So I'm wondering if we could get Eric Denaga, one of his engineers over there, to say, you know, if that would work, a concrete floor in the interim, and that way you're not spending $400,000 and then coming back to us and saying, I want to build a K-9 facility over next to like, you know, your office. Katie?
How are we operating now?
What do you mean, how are we operating?
With the dogs.
We're with the dogs. I mean, how are we running that unit right now?
They do inside training. We have a class coming up, so there'll be, I think there's 10 dogs coming right now, give or take, if the dogs flop out before. And they train inside doing the classroom stuff, and then they go outside and they do a lot of the outdoor training. So there's feasibly, if there's gonna be 10 officers with dogs, there's gonna be at least 2 instructors that are in there as well. So they're gonna be using the inside every day. And then when they eat lunch, they go inside. So it's being used as a building for training so that they can get the inside component done where they do all the paperwork and whatnot. And
But
there's
it's not safe.
pieces of the floor that you can stick your foot through.
Well, we all remember sitting here in this room with somebody that actually happened.
Yes.
So
So I believe that Eric Denega's folks did look at it, and that the remedy was to replace some of the plywood underneath in the places where it's really, really
when
spongy.
has that been done? I think it was, right?
I think they replaced a couple of pieces in there, but I haven't been advised that they did any more than that.
So can you call Eric tomorrow and see if there's a temporary fix of like simply concrete or whatever the engineers design, and maybe before physical services on Tuesday, you said?
Tuesday, yes, because we're closed Monday.
We're putting the plywood down. And if they go
Yeah,
back
or
to
whatever the cost is. Like I said, I think that 389 was to keep it there forever. I don't know. From speaking to you, that's not your intention, right? You want to bring it back to your office,
Yes.
or at least near your office.
If we can build some type of training complex this way, we have enough room. We're looking at 475 people that we train on a constant basis. We're running out of room.
And that would be good, because even if we did it in a step by step, you know, you could start off with one and then build on to it as it goes and as it goes, so it gets to what would be your state of the art training facility.
Sure.
Glenn?
I did have one more comment from another legislator. Maybe we could rent something until we can build a new one. They were thinking maybe the Hatfield Lane area where the vaccines were administered. I think that whole space is.
So they have to take the dogs outside and run
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the site, you know, what goes on.
It's swampy,
Okay.
a lot of ticks.
It's the only place really in the Northeast, other than MTA's across the river, is,
Yeah.
they train over there in Putnam. And Orange County seems to be taking the lead and bringing other
I
agencies
know.
from
I
the
see
outside in.
everybody coming.
That someone come from, as far as Delaware
Greene
County,
County, Delaware
Delaware
County.
County, Green County coming for the training.
Yeah.
So that's not gonna, I don't foresee it changing, those numbers going down, if anything, I see them increase.
That's why we'll be near a highway by putting it in front of our complex.
Definitely.
So it would work for those that are traveling far. I mean, some of them were traveling 2 or 3 hours a day just to get to the academy. So it's a testament to the academy.
Peter?
Yeah,
Yes. Hold on, Peter has it.
now, somebody mentioned that you know, with all you said that it's, sheriff owns the building, the airport owns the ground. Do you have any kind of contract with the airport, or is there a lease, or is
There's a
there?
lease.
And how much is that?
I think it's $18,000.
18,000 a year? And, is there an expiration on that lease?
I don't know, until they evict us, I guess.
It's probably just in the budget.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, it's in the budget. I don't know that it's really a lease.
I don't think there would. There was some controversy over who's responsible for making the improvements. The airport took the position that the airport's legally required to charge for any non-airport service, just if I rented a piece of property there myself. And the sheriff took the position, well, it's all the county, but because the airport's heavily funded, the former sheriff took that position. Because it was heavily funded by federal grants, the airport, in my view, correctly took the position that the sheriff should have paid fair market value and made the improvements. And I even, when I was county attorney, wrote a memo saying the budget director could take the money if she wanted to. So that was, and ultimately, it just, the new administration change is taking a different tack. And I think you're right.
Yeah, I mean, probably a good time to start looking toward the future.
Tom? Thank you, Chairman. Sheriff, you just mentioned it before. This academy, this canine academy, isn't just for Orange County Sheriff's canines. This is a service that is provided. This academy is for more than just our sheriffs. Can you give us a brief overview of who has taken part of this canine training in the region?
We have Delaware County. We've had MTA come. I think they've designed their academy after ours because there's a lot of MTA canine handlers. But we've done the surrounding counties.
And local police
We've
departments
done
as
local
well?
police departments. We have local police departments coming in to our next class.
And so your intention as the sheriff is to continue to have this academy?
Absolutely. We provide a great service. We have some really great instructors. And apparently, it shows with the classes being filled.
Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you, Chairman.
And they have to continue their certification, so the state puts a lot on them also. To continue training of the handler and the dog.
And you have 7 of your own, right? Do we want to go forward with this, or do we want to punt it to physical services with more information on Tuesday?
My own opinion is that I'm hearing from you that this would be just a stopgap measure. And if we're going to do it, we want to do it right.
Mhm.
And I think you hear from your committee that seems to be. So if we can make some kind of an effort to try to get some information, because to approve this the way it is may not be the most fiscally responsible way of proceeding at this point.
So
And if we
we'll call
can
Eric
get
and we'll get a
something,
temporary fix estimate.
now this is not, it is on Ways and Means, correct?
On Wednesday, yeah.
Oh, is it on physical too?
No, it's on Ways and Means,
Oh,
the
okay.
monies,
But
but
I think Eric's gonna be.
That gives you an extra day then.
But here again, if you could get some kind of information, not only to this committee, but then an update to present to Ways and Means with something that is reasonable and probably a better concept for future needs. Then maybe we can, or we work on it within the next 30 days. I mean, we've been kind of limping along with this to begin with, and I appreciate that, you know, coming in new and things, you're seeing all of this and you want to move the things forward because you're acute enough to know that this doesn't happen overnight. The government does move slow. But maybe in this particular case, you want to take a pause and say, okay, let's look at this different concept and come back with something that it appears that people are willing to embrace.
I think we're all in support of it, but if we're going to, you know, like, move it forward into the future, if we could do anything with that and utilize that without putting this amount of money into it, that's money that could go towards what your vision is, and I think it would be better, you know, sent that way.
Sure. Can it be a concrete floor, or does it have to be a certain floor for the dogs?
It would actually be.
I'd have to ask the K-9 guys.
Yeah, so that's another component, talk to the K-9 people and to the engineers, and, so this committee should take no action on this, is my suggestion. Does everybody agree, or then we'll just leave it to Ways and Means, so hopefully have more information?
Okay.
I think that's.
Yes.
the proof.
All right, so we'll take no action on letter C. For good reasons, not bad. Okay, letter D, request supplemental appropriation to the capital projects budget in the amount of $869,147 for the purchase of body cameras. The sheriff's office currently has capital project number 324 to purchase body cameras in the amount of $725,000. Upon approval, the funds will increase capital project number 324 to the total of $1,594,147 from bonding. This will be legislative request number 26. Go ahead.
So this was approved or created prior to my administration. These are the payments that were agreed upon for the next 4 years, 2023, 2024, 2025, and 2026. We will owe $869,147, and they have it broken into yearly payments. And that's why they are trying to appropriate that money to make the payments in the future.
So this doesn't count the correction officer cameras that you're talking about?
No, we haven't, we had some cameras that we could offer to some of the jail staff, but we don't have the money set aside right now to implement cameras in the jail. That's going to be a larger number of cameras, so we're working on that project right now.
Okay, so does this count the probation cameras too, or do you separate that out?
They're separate.
This is a bill we got no choice to pay, we've already committed to it. It just wasn't put in your budget. Okay, anybody have any questions? All in favor, say aye. Anyone opposed? So carried unanimous. Letter E, request supplemental appropriation to the capital projects budget in the amount of $2,500,000 for the building expansion at the Orange County Sheriff's Office. The Sheriff's Office has capital project number 326 for the expansion of the amount of $350,000. Upon approval, the funds will increase capital project number 326 to a total of $2,850,000 from bonding, and this is legislative request number 27. Motion? Is there a second? Okay, you want to highlight that?
This project started in the former administration, and they had requested to increase the amount to get the project off the ground. It's to increase or make more office space, which would include investigations division space where they can actually interview people. We have one interview room right now. It's the space is just too small. There's a component of adding the upstairs floor to connect it to the admin with the correctional facility. So the admin would be on one floor and we would be able to fit everybody into our space. Right. Currently, we have some of our folks working in different office spaces because we just run out of room. The locker rooms, we, out of our old communication center, we created a locker room. And there's just not enough space for the number of law enforcement officers that we've hired. We have 70 per diem school security deputies right now. We just don't have the space when they come in and train and whatnot. So we're looking to get this capital project off the ground, which was started in the previous administration.
This is not construction money, this is design money, or is this all in, or what?
The design is currently done. That was done prior to my administration.
So this is all in number?
I don't believe they wanted to add it to start the construction, from what I understand, to do the engineering.
Yeah, I'd have to look at the paperwork.
Yeah, this number was given by Brian Titsworth from DPW to the prior administration
What did he say the number represented those?
for the construction of addition of the sheriff's office building.
Sounds like an all-in number, but it sounds, how big is the addition, do you know?
According to this email from April 8th of 22, it's 4,000 square foot addition.
Now I'm going to ask another question. You've seen the design
Yes.
and you're happy with the plan, or is it, you have a different idea in your head what you want to go with?
No, we made a couple of changes. We met in January and then we met at the beginning of January, the end of January with the company that's handling the design. And we just moved a couple of the space.
Rearranged the offices and rearranged it, but didn't do any structural changes, really, just rearranged some of the offices.
In the same amount of space.
Right.
We didn't change the space size.
This is going to Ways and Means or physical or both?
Ways and Means, it's not going to physical,
All right. So, I
but
mean,
quite
I guess
frankly,
we-
maybe it should.
I'm surprised both aren't going to physical.
Well, it would have.
Building it would, the building could go.
That's what I mean, because of the building. It would have been, because here again, you're at a disadvantage. Because you're looking at a plan that you weren't part of in the beginning. And you were before us to speak to it, but I think it would have been helpful to have Brian here as well. But, that's not the case at this point in time. That doesn't mean that we can't get everybody together to figure out what we're really talking about and how to proceed. And I think the number one thing here is that, you've moved this forward. And as the question that Kevin asked too was very appropriate. You've seen the plan, you weren't part of it. And do you agree with it? And do you agree with the needs that it's addressing?
Yes. Like I said, we only changed some of the locations of the rooms within the space that they had designed.
Okay.
Is this a two-story addition?
Yes.
And it's 4,000 on top of 4,000 or 2,000 on top of 2,000?
We have it as 4,000 total.
I don't think you can build anything two stories on a state bid for 2.5 million.
Well, we already have the first story done. It's just changing some of the locations of the walls.
So you're just gonna build a second floor on top of an existing first floor, is that what you're saying?
That's what it looks like. They're fixing one of the walls that's crooked. It's aimed at an angle and they're going to straighten it out.
What's the committee's pleasure on this?
We got a budget.
I just looked up the paperwork. It is for construction of addition on the sheriff's office building. It's for
All in
construction.
number?
That's what they're saying.
Bricks and mortar, right?
Yeah.
All right, you want to approve this and hopefully when it goes to the next committee, they'll maybe one of the engineers will be there or Mr. Tisland. What's the committee's pleasure?
Can we bring it back next month with more information?
Well, if it gets done, we could, but one of the other committees could entertain it if they have the information. So we could either take no action and put it off, or we can approve it, but then there could be two proposals in the legislative session. One has to be withdrawn if something comes up different. I don't think this number is going to change. It will only go up. It's not going to go down.
Definitely not going back.
So it would be to keep it moving forward.
I still have one question.
These
Um,
guys.
on the part that you're building up on, is that stuff that has to be within the jail? Like, do those offices have to be within the jail?
No.
Okay, so going back to what we just tabled on the other, is this something that you could build there on the thing and use it for the training when you have training, but also have a separate area for, so this money could go towards your canines and that building there? Do you understand what I'm saying?
The
Like-
design of the building is not for training, there's office, just office.
Well, that's why I was saying if some of it, because I said, you said it was for some of the school resources and.
The locker room space.
The locker room.
Yeah, we don't have any space
That's
if
why
they
I
have
was
to drop
checking
their
because if
equipment.
it's something that's gonna be built and it's not something that has to be within the confines of the jail, like you don't have to go in, if it's an office and it's for that, this is just me, spouting an idea. If you took that 2.5 million with that other 400 there, that gives you almost $3 million to do the design, and you could put an office or the needs at the end of that training facility.
I wish we could do it that.
I know
We've had
it's
growing pains for years. We have secretaries that are out in the hallway that we had to put up cubicles, so they took up our hallway space. Because we've just outgrown the space.
Okay, just throwing it out there.
Yeah, I wish we could.
And I know you're coming in after something's already been a problem
Mm-hmm.
and it's already been in the stage points without any input from, you guys that are now here in charge. It's just, it was something that if it could be, taking that and moving it over, that could have solved both issues at the same time.
One of the biggest issues to have now, I think, is also this department section.
Oh,
They're just too,
I know.
they just have been there. We're trying
So is this enough? I mean, it sounds, it sounds like it's not
They
enough.
designed it to be expandable, is what we were told in the meetings. I don't want to just build extra space just to have.
Yeah, that's what I'm
future.
thinking. It might be better to do it bigger in one shot.
67 new officers, just school people. I mean, this is like double the size of your agency.
Yeah, but they rarely come in, they go right to the.
Well, they come in to train.
They train in the summertime
when
and
schools close, they come in and train.
Yeah.
in the off hours. Yeah.
Well, Tom.
Chairman, if I could suggest, we're talking about a couple different things here. We have two more committees that are coming up next week, including the physical services, which this does not exist on the agenda. It's on the Ways and Means Committee. It sounds like we're dealing with issues involving the experts that generally come to Physical Services Committee, as well as the experts that are here today for public safety. Chairman, would you consider perhaps tabling this for 30 days so that we could then have this return both to, next month to public safety, physical services, and if we needed to, the Ways and Means, so that we can get all three assets in. We get the people that know about buildings, we get the people that know about the law enforcement needs, and then the Ways and Means, the guys that know about the money. We can have those discussions and make sure that if this is the plan that you guys want, these are the designs that we have, that people can ask and answer those questions, and then we can move forward with that.
Well,
Chairman, I would ask that for
The
consideration.
sheriff is gonna be on the agenda for Ways and Means anyway, with this very issue, when the engineers are there. Go ahead.
I've just been informed that both of the Ways and Means and Physical Services agendas have not gone out. So they're gonna go out. So if you can get to DPW to them ahead of time, and this way, let us know tomorrow. We can put that on Physical Services as well. And they can start to present it to them. And then, we can move forward. If you want to try to grab it this month, other than that, just have a conversation with them and come back next month. I mean, I think this committee is, the overseer of the sheriff's office. So therefore, we should be looking at, they should have the opportunity to have a substantial stay. But I think most of you are on another committee anyway, maybe not Glenn. So.
Yeah, I have no problem if we take no action and let either Ways and Means and Physical bring it to the floor. I don't disagree with it. I just wanna know what the total number
I
is.
think we're all.
Yeah, no problem. I'll contact DPW and get all the
It just means
information.
you might have to come to Physical Services and Ways and Means next
You
week,
might
or
have to be
somebody
there.
from
Yes.
your committee staff.
Did this come up, because I'm not on fiscal service, did it come up in the previous administration? any building plans or discussion to fiscal service, or did it just come?
I'm not sure.
We just put the money, the 350 aside was
We
for
would have to
design.
look it up because we don't remember.
We appropriated 350 for design, but I don't know if it went to physical services.
You have to look it up. But you're coming to Ways and Means anyway, because you're scheduled, so you would just have to come to physical as well, if you can get Commissioner Danega.
Okay, yeah, I'll get the information as soon as possible because in a couple of months, all of the builders are gonna be very tied up.
And
So,
clerk was graciously said that she would try to accommodate you. But don't take advantage of it too much.
Okay, so the committee agrees to take no action on letter E at this point, is that correct?
Yeah.
No one objects to that? Okay. Now we'll move on to letter F and we'll do the corrections report. There's a motion for discussion. So moved. Highlight that for us. Director Sonic.
So as of close of business, January 31st, we had 311 incarcerated individuals in the facility. Average daily ICE detainees hover around 80, give or take, depending on the influx and release. We have 32 officer vacancies, and the total amount of revenue from boarding in between local county jails and ICE detainees is $350,579 for the month of January.
When you say 32, you're counting vacancies, not the long-term sick, right? It's worse than that when we count the long-term.
We have
sick.
I think we have 6 or 7 long-term sick,
It used
so
to be higher.
32. It's not too bad.
It was 15 long-term sick.
Well, you know, it goes up and down.
Yeah,
come back to
so
work.
they're getting better. That's good.
We're,
moving in the
we're
right direction.
strongly encouraging the work ethic.
Did we get anybody out of the class? I think you said you had 8 that you could potentially hire on the list. Maybe that was the prior administration. They thought there was 8.
Currently, the test results are being processed by Human Resources. So we're expecting a final list at the end of March to start hiring, but we don't have anybody currently.
So did you hire 8 already then out of the last list?
we haven't hired anybody this year.
Right, but at the end of last year, before you got there, was there any new hires?
Don't know.
I'd say.
I thought they told me there were 8 people that were
There
hired.
was a potential, there were
Okay.
8 potentials.
So the test results should be coming out shortly. About 167 took it. And we're anticipating over 100 that pass, so that should be helpful with us to get the hire.
Yeah, that would be great. Okay. Anything else that you want to share with us? COVID's under control there now?
Well, I don't know if I'd say under control, COVID is COVID, but we don't have too many issues with COVID.
Anybody have any questions?
We still have an area of the jail where we're holding some of the inmates that may have substance abuse issues.
Go ahead, finish.
So from previous things, there was a discussion that like when they come in for their intake, they go through and if they, are requesting, they can go there instead of the other jail. Do we have an account of that particular unit and how many inmates are actually being held there? And I'm looking more on for the mental health side of it, as far as to see what the discrepancy is, because obviously our opioid debts and a lot of our substance abuse issues have gone up over the last couple of years. Especially when we did a lot more releasing, because when they actually were able to be held, they would go into the unit and they would at least get a certain amount of assistance and help and therapy and all that. So I was just curious as how active that unit is now compared to what I remember from years past.
So I'm not 100% clear, but I'll answer it maybe, I think what you're asking me. On intake, everybody gets assessed for opioid use disorder. And if they qualify, they are offered what they call MAT medication, right? That's what you're talking
Yes.
about. And then there's not one, there's one unit, but there's some females and males, so they're not all in one unit. They're
I would hope
mostly,
so.
yeah, right, they're mostly, right? And some of them are also, different classifications. So There's probably 3 different places that you would find people that are on the MAP medication. I don't have a number for you right now, but anybody that is assessed and diagnosed with opioid use disorder by the medical staff is offered the medication and they do get it. So I don't know if that answers.
Okay, yeah, I just
don't have a
kinda
number for you.
curious
Yes.
if we were still like utilizing to help those particular individuals to help with the addictions and giving them services that they need so that maybe they wouldn't be the repeat type customer.
No, we do, and actually, it's a matter of law now, we have to, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else on the corrections report? All right, thank you. Move on to the shiny new sheriff's report for the patrol side.
Trying to pare things down to make it a little easier.
Motion for
everybody.
discussion, please.
So moved.
Yeah, you want to highlight that?
So we had 2 of our members go to FBI crisis negotiators school. As you know now, crisis intervention is becoming more and more prevalent to deal with people that have either substance use issues or mental issues. Right? Usually law enforcement's the first one there on the scene, or they call for them to assist. So it's a real important component of the sheriff's office. And we're doing a little bit of restructuring within the criminal side, and hopefully have more on that as time passes.
Finding out with pistol permits, interestingly enough, we're only into March for fingerprints. We've increased the fingerprinting time by 10% just to get some of the folks in so they can get their pistol permits done a little bit quicker. But we're not seeing the return. People aren't signing up the way they used to, and there's about 500 or so permits. The paperwork is out there, and we're waiting for it to come back. And I think what the tough sell is, the course is anywhere from $350 to $500, and it's 3 days. So I think that the permit process has slowed down considerably. We're just about caught up with everything in our office, and we're just waiting for the large number of the 500 or so that are out there to come back.
You're 29 part-time per diem, is that all pistol permits, or what do those people do?
And pistol permit people.
29.
Pistol permit, and we have 1
Investigations?
a few in investigations and 1 in accreditation.
Yes.
How many people are doing pistol permit? You're saying that you're gonna need a lot less people than is what it sounds like.
Well, right now, that's where the number is. Before a presidential election or any major election, it seems to go up depending on who's running. So right now, there's just a lull, and I think we're addressing it to the changes in the law where, you know, they have to go to a 3-day course. A lot of people can't put that time in to go to the 3-day course.
And a lot of some of the new laws are caught up in litigation. So I think some people are applying and just waiting to see what comes out of it before they go forward.
Sheriff, you and I had a discussion about the investigators the other day, the ones that you're bringing back from the federal task force. And I think you should share with the committee, you talked about saving on overtime with respect to the hours that they were going to work and things like that.
So our vision for the office, we're trying to do more work for Orange County. A lot of federal task forces are great. I was assigned to one. And the whole premise behind it was to go there, get all this new knowledge and come back and train people. Oh, I came back, I got promoted again. I didn't train anybody. And we have a lot of folks that are out there right now. They have a wealth of information and different types of crimes. And we want to get them back and start working for the Orange County residents. Some of our folks that were in the federal aid task forces being sent to California and different states. I don't think that helps the residents of Orange County as much as our vision of the sheriff's office in the future is to concentrate more on the safety in Orange County, New York.
So you said, I think you told me you were going to cover shifts from 9 to 9 and
Yeah,
cut down on overtime in the same process?
We're expanding the hours in our investigations division by having 2 different shifts, which will impact the overtime, decrease it. And I think it'll put us out there more, doing some more good work out there in the county.
But you're also willing to supplement the feds when they ask for it, right, on a case-by-case basis?
Yes, we've met with them on quite a few occasions so far, and we have no issues with working together with them. It's just that we need our people to come back and start training our people on how to do all these investigations. It seems the investigations, the way they're done in the federal system, is something that we're looking to do in the state system now because of all the changes in the law. So it'll be very helpful to have these folks back to teach our folks how to do investigations the way they did in the federal system. And from time to time, we're going to collaborate with the federal partners and do some work. So it's, you know, the benefit, we're trying to gain the benefit at the sheriff's office by bringing some of these folks back. We haven't cut off any of the federal partners. We're open to working with them in the future. We've advised them of that. It's just that we're trying to get together and put the manpower where we need it.
And was there a pushback in Newburgh?
Newburgh sent back our investigator, I guess, the day after our meeting. And we had no intent to just rip the Band-Aid off, so to speak. We were going to give time to pass on any of the cases and whatnot. But our investigator and an investigator from another place, the DA's office, were told to leave the city of Newburgh. So we're willing to work with City of Newburgh, collaborate with them, but we're not at that point right now.
So there was a time, and I know you remember this, when we had sheriffs riding in the city of Newburgh police cars on weekend nights. Is that something you would do, or you don't think they'd be interested in that?
There's some grant money out there to do that sort of thing. We haven't received any requests from the city of Newburgh for any assistance.
We will, we'll address those issues with the city of Newburgh as they come along. But we haven't, like the sheriff said, we haven't reached that point. We've reached it from other agencies. We're gonna go assist if City of Port Jervis calls. We're gonna go assist if City of Middletown calls for an update on whatever it is. We're gonna go assist. City of Newburgh just hasn't reached that point, but we'll do anything that we can do to assist them in a load of crime there. But they're just one piece of the entire Orange County.
Yeah, there was no money coming back for our investigator that was assigned to the city of Newburgh. It was strictly on our dime, the overtime, on call, everything. So there's no grant money involved with that.
I know the DA had told us, and I know Under Sheriff Garcia knows this firsthand, that his investigator, I think, was the lead investigator in the city of Newburgh in most cases because of the experience level.
Well, I think we had a lot of success when we first started the grant when I was with the district attorney because we had a protocol in which the way the cases were investigated. And we took an experienced investigator from the DA's office, teamed it up with an investigator from the city of Newburgh or a detective from the city of Newburgh. And it might have been sometimes it was someone that had a lot of experience, someone that didn't have a lot of experience. But they worked it in a way and in a manner that we could collect the data, analyze the data, and go back and say, yes, this is successful in the way we're doing things. This is not successful. We have to regroup and realize what we're doing. So there's a lot of people that add a lot of value to the city of Newburgh, which supplement what they want to do. They chose, for whatever reason, that you'd have to ask them to, again, send back our investigator that we were at the time willing to do. That's on them.
And we're constantly collaborating with different police agencies. We have a great rapport with all the police chiefs, and they've been requesting our assistance, throughout the county. So it's not just about one municipality. It's about all.
But you're keeping the resources on the drug task force, right? Is it terrorism? task
We've
force?
enhanced our our narcotics unit and the joint terrorism task force. We've also left an investigator there. And the U.S. Marshals, we also have somebody assigned.
Anybody have any questions on the sheriff's report? Does everybody like it, or do you want more information? Maybe look at the old report, look at this report. I know when the sheriff was the captain, he used to write us a 15-page report.
Oh, it's a lot of stuff.
Which I guess he didn't like doing that, so I just wanted to do that to his staff.
Well, those reports and that detail is what we report, yearly, and we keep those stats monthly, and then we report them. The feds request our stats throughout the year, and that's what we use that for. It's just a lot of information that, you know, you really wanted the highlights of what goes on, and we have no problem giving all the highlights. The number of juveniles in our correctional facility, there's none. There haven't been any. So I don't see the need to report 6 or 7 pages of zeros. So just trying to do it more efficiently.
Anybody have any questions on the sheriff's report? All right, thank you very much. And the desk is clear, motion to adjourn is in order. Sassy, motion to adjourn. We are adjourned, thank you very much.